Illicit 6. Integrity Commission, Annual Report. Chairman of the Integrity Commission, retired Justice Seymour Panton. This morning I got a text message in relation to a story we carried to say that only 2 parliamentarians are now under probe for illicit enrichment. And the gentleman messaged me and said, "Are you sure about this story?" So, sometimes when a question is meant to prompt a conversation, so you'd ask, "Oh, of course, why are you asking?" But all I said was yes.
Good.
And left it there.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah? Because for how long now, politicians, and I couldn't be one of them, I tell people all the while, the men and women who offer themselves for public office, who contest elections, it is a daunting thing, It's not easy to put yourself up for election and then to get elected. And then just because you're a parliamentarian, especially an MP, just because of that fact, people say all kinds of things about you. And for some people, it is better for them to be in a situation where they can give the public the impression that you are nasty, dirty, and a thief, rather than to have the fact of that established. So it serves them better to have that thing hanging over you like the proverbial sword of Damocles. Legend has it that the sword hung over Damocles' head by a thread, thinner than a spider's web. At any time, it could cut away and the sword would plunge into his head. The sword of Damocles has been over parliamentarians since last June, when media coined the phrase Illicit 6 to comfortably describe the situation and quite appropriately describe it. It was a brilliant turn of phrase, Stoner. Mm-hmm. Yeah? Illicit 6. Because 6 parliamentarians were under probe for illicit enrichment. And on top of that, the cherry on top of that, for the conspiracy theorists, was that the Prime Minister of the country was perhaps among those, and that the Prime Minister was by himself under probe, which is why his statutory declarations could not be certified. We've been told that day after day, week after week, and people who know better call on the Prime Minister to, "Why don't you publish your statutory declaration?" I've never heard such tripe in my life. Serious people said it. Interest groups, advocacy groups, "Oh, the parliamentarians, they must be named because they're under probe for illicit enrichment.
And step aside.
And they must step aside." But of course, yes. Now, Justice Seymour Panton is a man I have the utmost respect for, even as things at the Integrity Commission haven't always run smoothly. But I knew that this is not the Seymour Panton way, so I always had faith in him. And something egregious has to happen for me to not have that faith. What I will say this morning is this. The report now causes us to question, if not reject, the narrative that has formed over time that we have 6 thieving parliamentarians in Gordon House, 6 criminal parliamentarians in Gordon House, and that the 6 thieving criminal parliamentarians belong to one side. Now, which side, I don't know, but use your imagination, listeners. That's what we've been told. And the fact of the Prime Minister's statutory declarations not being certified is so egregious because him and him alone was in the position of not having his statutory declaration certified. How could this one person not have their statutory declarations certified when the Commission certify everybody else? What kind of country are we that we are led by a man whose declarations submitted. We've never been told that they were submitted late. But the authority that does the certification, not certifying them, is a black mark against the Prime Minister and against the country, because certainly nobody else was in the position of having their statutory declarations uncertified. Well, is who sing the tune again, Jeremy? And I've got news for you. Shalom, shalom. The Rasta youth, right? Well, the dreadlocks youth. Let's put it that way. You could knock me down with a feather, Turner, when I looked at page 39 of the Integrity Commission report. And it lists in a table members of Parliament, members of the Senate, councillors, permanent secretaries, heads of entities, and then a catch-all group called other public officials. It shows that between April 1, 2018 and March 31, 2024, how many of the people in those categories submitted statutory declarations? That's a 6-year period, right? It also shows the number of those declarations submitted which were examined, the number of those declarations certified, and then the number of those officials referred to the Director of Corruption Prosecution for failure to provide information, and then the number referred to the Director of Investigation for illicit enrichment and or false information, and then a category, a row called number of work in progress examinations. So my eyes drifted to the bottom of the table because I wanted to see, okay, so how many MPs, senators, councillors, permanent secretaries, heads of entities, and other public officials would have submitted statutory declarations in the 6-year period 2018 to 2024? You know the number by now because we told you on Nationwide at 5 yesterday. In that 6-year period, 165,492 statutory declarations were received. So, out of all that, almost 166,000, how many were examined? The record shows 2,288 of 165,492 were examined. All right. So how many were certified? 1,781. So of 165,492 submitted, only 1,781 have been certified. The obvious question to me is not the obvious question to you, I'm sure. Because the obvious question to me is, what has caused the Integrity Commission to be working so inefficiently? Why is it that almost 164,000 statutory declarations over 6 years have remained uncertified? Better yet, why is it that almost 162,000 remain unexamined? And how come people who postured as if they were in the know, because I hear people on platform calling names cleverly, how come you were telling us that a one-man statutory declarations remained uncertified? And if you take MPs alone, 416 statutory declarations received over the period. 278 of those were examined, and 168 of those were certified. So there's a huge gap between number received, number examined, and number certified. Permanent secretaries who get an easy ride. Nobody costs permanent secretary, we just cost minister. 115 of those received over the 6-year period. 28 examined, 20 certified. Heads of entities, 935 declarations received, 108 examined, 71 certified. And in the big group called other public officials, 162,744 statutory declarations received by the Commission, 1,700 examined, 1,400 certified. Now, you tell me. The point made by the chairman of the Integrity Commission, the man says, Seymour Panton, the police received numerous complaints and allegations of various crimes that, when investigated, are found to be without merit. So does the Integrity Commission, which has no control over speculations, rumors, or mischief making in the society. So, this is raw politics. The country and those outside were told that effectively the fact of this one man's declarations not being certified suggests that we're being led by someone who ought not to be in the chair. Tony, you said it, them said the man must step aside until the declaration, which, listen, me don't want to say it, me don't want to say it. What can